South Africa has seen a surge in online betting since the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the Responsible Gambling Foundation, in the financial year 2023-2024, it saw an increase in referrals for gambling disorder. The foundation says it received 2,662 referrals, of which 1,473 were males. The National Gambling Board has raised concerns about the increase in illegal online betting platforms. The board has warned players using illegal online services that their winnings will be forfeited to the state.
The gambling industry in South Africa contributes 0.1% towards the GDP. According to the National Gambling Board, the industry generated over 40 billion rand in turnover in the previous financial year. The South Africa Responsible Gambling Foundation says in the same period, it received 2,662 referrals for gambling disorder. 45% of them were employed, while 60% were youth.
The 60% that we are talking about, I will say that about 45% of them are actually employed, and the remainder are people that are either dependent on social grant recipients, and or are being supported by their family members. Now, the cohort that should actually concern us are those that are social grant recipient, because they are depending on government to actually sustain themselves. But now we see that a 15% of them, they actually use those monies to gamble.
The National Gambling Board says the industry is showing some growth in online betting and is attracting the youth, many of whom are tech-savvy.
It does say that young people are interested in sports, so they would like to take bets on this. They follow all the European leagues and others. So when bets are offered in that, that increase the volume of gambling. And as a result, when they are exposed to this betting, then they come across that you can actually play a roulette game, because it will pop up as you are playing, and it will say you can actually win 10 million on this. And as a result, they get into that as well. And the more people stay longer now gambling on this, the more the problems are, because you will gamble even when you are at work, and your productivity at work will go down.
The National Gambling Board says gambling is meant to be for entertainment, but gamblers tend to go overboard. One wagerer, Basani Rikotso, says when she started betting online 5 years ago, it was meant to be for entertainment.
First of all, it was for fun. I was like seeing my friends doing it, not knowing. It was for fun at first. But the more I started betting, like I was winning. So that's where I started to enjoy the betting. The biggest I got, I remember it was 13,500. Yeah, it was my first, the biggest. It was 13.5.
Rikotso says after her first big win, she started chasing another big win.
Yeah, I did go back. I said, Musa, I can do this. If I got 13.5, I can win more than this. So I started to bet more than. Yeah, I bet more than 20 rand. I said 100 and 100. Yeah. But since I got that 13.5, I've never had that amount, the same amount.
The Gauteng Gambling Board says gamblers should practice responsible gambling.
As a regulator, our job is also just to also manage the dangers that can come with gambling, because we know, like any activity that we embark on, gambling, there will always be those people that actually do it irresponsibly or excessively, which is a problem. There are obviously still a very small number of people compared to the bigger population. Last time the figures were at about 5% or 6% of people that gamble that would pick up a problem.
In South Africa, online gambling is illegal, and should one be found with proceeds from online gambling, the winnings will be confiscated by the bank. However, online betting is permitted, and South Africans are urged to bet responsibly. Nothando Makudilela, SABC News, Johannesburg.
For more on this conversation, we're now joined by National Gambling Board Chief Operations Officer Nkoatse Mashamaite, and he joins us now via our video link. Nkoatse, thank you so much for your time this evening, sir. One would ask, I mean, just looking at that story and seeing a surge there when it comes to online betting, one would say that it really is concerning when people start taking it overboard.
That's really concern us, and we actually try to be in keeping with the population by conducting education and awareness, broad education and awareness that we do countrywide. We actually try to reach everyone through that and using media and visiting our areas in the rural areas to try and do this education and awareness, just to conscientize to people that this activity is not for profit and you win when you are lucky, because everything is random and the machines that offer these games are actually tested for that purpose, that you are actually gambling on a random thing that is not guaranteeing the results.
And looking at the referrals, I mean, there has been more than 2,000 referrals. What do you actually mean when it comes to referrals? Just to get an understanding here for the public.
These are the people who visit the South African Responsible Gambling Foundation seeking assistance for treatment on addictions or gambling problem that they suffer from, because it is a medical condition actually. They're going through that, and the foundation assists with that. These are the people who actually came forward and said we need help. And we must be mindful that there is a lot of people that are undergoing this process, and they have not reached the foundation for that assistance, and some are not even aware that they actually need to check this, because they are gambling on illegal sites that offer these gambling activities, and they don't get these warnings messages that you can actually be assisted by the foundation.
And when it comes to those who may seem to be, of course, looking at the issues coming from the site and online betting, one would also ask, what are the commonalities you are finding there when it comes to those who are seeking for referrals? Because it may come across as if they are addicted to gambling.
No, the issues are dealt with by the foundation. We actually operate independent from them. But what we get through their reporting, it is actually clear that a lot of people who come seeking assistance do really deserve to be assisted. They do record numbers that are those false calls that come through. Some are just calling for pranks and other things, but the actual numbers that they have indicated are people who actually were treated and needed that kind of help. Some are assisted on the phone, and others are actually admitted to a facility for further treatment if they find that the situation is severe.
And Mr. Mashamaite, earlier on you touched on the issues around, illegal betting and legal betting. What would seem as illegal betting to many South Africans?
South Africans need to be aware first. The first one is you cannot gamble when you are below the age of 18. So that in itself is another red flag. And we also have a system where you can exclude yourself from gambling. If you are excluded, you are not allowed to gamble during that period. So illegal gambling, we are referring to unlicensed operators who offer these gambling activities to the public. You need a license from a provincial gambling board so that you can issue, they can issue with it and offer gambling to the public. Otherwise, you are not allowed, and that activity is not permitted. There is a reason why we would actually encourage that people should gamble with the licensed operators, because licensed operators undergo stringent monitoring process under which every game that they are offering, we actually ensure that it is tested by the laboratories, that it is actually safe for the public to use, meaning that the games are not manipulated to just process losses for people and enticing wins. we actually make sure that those, and the provincial gambling board monitor that process. It is not done with unlicensed operators who are mainly coming from offshore countries, mostly islands. We experience a lot of traffic on online gambling coming from Curacao operators who are offering it here in South Africa with impunity to our laws that we have.
And Mr. Mashamaite, I mean, I know that we are discussing the bad side when it comes to betting, but at the same time, there is a good side to it, and it really does contribute a lot to the country's economy. How important is betting to the country's economy?
It is very important. Yes, the first is, I must point that we generate revenue from gambling, and just in 2023-2024, in the taxes that we collected were over 4,876,493,147. That's a lot of money that government actually gained, and that is because the gambling revenue that we collected were over 59 billion collected in the county. And that actually goes towards tax, and we must also be mindful. Gambling operators also commit to community social investment, where they will assist to build schools or make contributions that will assist in learning as well. Our sponsored South African Responsible Gambling Foundation, which benefits from this gambling industry from their 0.1% of gross gambling revenue, also offer treatment and education about legal gambling and responsible gambling in the country. So there is a lot of good that comes from it. We have gambling facilities that are offering gambling. They also offer this what is this thing called, the places like Gold Reef City. They are offering leisure activities for the public, and it does really assist in the city.
All right, Mr. Mashamaite, thank you so much for your time this evening and for more insight on that story. That's National Gambling Board Chief Operations Officer Nkoatse Mashamaite, just giving us an insight there when it comes to those statistics. They've seen a surge when it comes to online betting.